So I'm going to speak on one of the most common gut issue, which is bloating. So there are a couple of reasons behind why I chose this topic. Firstly, gut health is something very close to my heart. I can talk endlessly on the same. Secondly, I have come across so many people that they have so many gut issues, like the most common being bloating, and they tend to live with it. They tend to ignore it. They start living with thinking that it is not really important. And lastly, the most important one is immunity. Great immunity is directly linked to good gut health. So 80% of your immunity lies in your gut. So it's extremely important that you really don't neglect your gut health, because a dip in your immune system can also be one of the reasons you may want to look at your gut health. So, and always we say that, everything, every issue, diseases starts right from the gut. So it's very, very important that, gut health is being taken care of. And since gut health is such a huge topic, there is so much to cover. I just thought of, picking up one common topic, like I said, bloating, and we have so much to talk about. So today we'll be looking on the most common causes of bloating and some few home remedies which will really help you think, and you may want to really rectify in your lifestyle. That really might help you for sure. So before we begin, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ami Veera, and I'm a head nutritionist and a lifestyle expert working with Luke. So let us begin by understand is what is bloating. Bloating is retention and buildup of gases in the stomach and the small intestine, which really makes you uncomfortable. And I mean, your abdomen tends to be distended, and there is a feeling of fullness. Sometimes it also kills your appetite. You really don't feel like eating, and sometimes your clothes starts really fitting you tighter, especially the pants, jeans. So that is termed as bloating. Now let us look at the causes. So there are plenty of causes behind why do you feel bloated, but the most common ones which I have chosen is from the experience which I have come across, working with the clients from last 10 years. So now let us look at the first cause, which is aerophagia. So I would like to understand from you all, what do you mean by aerophagia? You can raise a hand, or please try and put your answer in the comment section, please. Swallowing of gas. Okay, that's good. Okay, so yeah. Okay, aerophagia itself means something to do with air. So like somebody said, it is swallowing of air along with the food or any fluids which you drink. Now let us see what leads to aerophagia. So there are a couple of things. If there is, too high consumption of tobacco or chewing gum, so that also leads to, swallowing of more of air. Secondly, if you have a habit of, keeping your mouth open while chewing, that will lead to bloating, like swallowing of air. And thirdly is if there is high consumption of, usage of straw, that can also lead to bloating. And of course, some people also have habit of, keeping a gap between the mouth and the bottle or water from where they are drinking water. So it is always better to, just reverse this, try reduce your consumption of chewing gum or tobacco, avoid using straws, always stick your mouth to the bottle or a glass, and always, keep your mouth closed while chewing. So that will tremendously reduce your bloating. My second cause is mindfulness. I'm sure, I mean, you must have heard this term mindfulness quite often when we talk about lifestyle. And as child, like since our childhood, we have always been brought up saying that you are supposed to chew your food 32 times, eat slowly, enjoy your food. But in today's world, how many of us actually practice? I understand completely. We all are really tied up with our meetings, limited lunch breaks, and it really gets difficult. And somewhere, I personally feel the focus the focus from the food has been shifted, because there are so many distractions, like you're busy with your gadgets, or you're watching a TV, or your meeting is going on while you're having food. You're talking talking with your family. So there is a lot going around, so that the connection with the food has been lost. So it's very important that you really focus while having food, while eating food. It has to be only you and your food. Love your food, respect. We always call our food as Annadata. So why do we call? Because it is equal to God. So it's very important that you start looking at food with love and really enjoy your time. Why? Because once you start eating food, after 20 minutes, there is a signal which is sent to the brain saying that you are full and please stop eating. But like I said, we are surrounded by so many distractions these days, we don't even realize that we have overeaten and before even the signal is being sent. And that leads to indigestion. The food in gut starts getting fermented, leading to bloating. So I would like you all to start with one simple activity. Those who are fast eaters there, what we can do, choose only. I understand if this is a habit, it's going to take time to build up. So what you can do, you can just choose one meal where you feel you are at ease. So I think I assume and I believe dinner is a meal where everybody is really relaxed and look forward for the dinner. So try and just start taking 5 to 6 deep breaths before meal, and once you're done with your meal, like after meal. This way you will really give time to yourself and the food. And why again this is important, I'm just trying to explain each and everything so that you are convinced. And I mean, there is a science behind nutrition. So why do I say that deep breathing is very important? How is it connected? Because when you deep breathe, there is a lot of oxygen which is being taken. A lot of oxygen goes in. So once oxygen goes in the stomach, again it creates a very alkaline medium, and it changes the environment of your gut, making your digestion process much more easier. So it's very important that you start taking deep breaths before and after meals. In fact, even during meals. So if you're taking like one or two morsels, just relax, take a deep breath, and then start eating. So I think we can always start doing at least this one small habit change, and you will see the results. Third one is sedentary active. Now, what do I mean by sedentary active? Because this really seems very contradicting. So, sedentary active, which means, again, like I said, out of my experience, I have seen so many people that they crazily work out in the gym. They go for their morning jogs or evening jogs, like for their 1 hour, and throughout the day, they are completely sedentary. So, that really doesn't work, and that is not advisable. According to American Dietetic Association, it is always recommended that you should be taking around 10,000 steps per day. So again, like I said, since majority of us are working from home, we don't even realize that we are glued to our laptops throughout the day. We just get up for that quick lunch break and we are back to our laptops. But what we can again here do is just every 30 to 45 minutes, get out of your place, try and fill up a bottle, just take a stroll in the house, or else whenever you're on your whenever you are on your meetings, on your calls, try and walk while you're talking on the phone. So that also will at least add up to those 10,000 steps. And even if you can't hit 10,000 steps, always set a benchmark for yourself. Like, for example, if you're doing 4,000 steps today, always try and see 500 steps extra I'll be doing, making it 4.5 thousand tomorrow. So gradually build up these habits, and I'm sure it's going to really help. Another tip I would like to give you all is or as soon as you are done with your lunch and dinners, please sit in Vajrasan. If you are a beginner, if you have not done Vajrasan, you will not be able to hold it for a longer period of time. Sit in that position. That's completely fine. You can do it as much as you can sit in that position, followed by 5 to 7 minutes stroll in the house. I don't recommend brisk walking here, just a leisure walk so that digestion and everything really settles. There is a good peristaltic movement happening in the body, and you don't feel really feeling of fullness or bloated immediately after meals. Those who can't really sit in Vajrasan because of knee pain, they can just start with normal walks, like 5 to 10 minutes, not more than that. That also will help you, especially lunch and dinner. Fourth one is excessive consumption of salt. We all know table salt is really not good for your health, and we have good quality Himalayan pink salt, rock salt. Nowadays, it's been really talked upon, and it's easily available on the shelf these days. But here I'm specifically talking about the packaged and the processed food, which has hidden salt in them. Because I mean, salt and sugar always they act as a preservative to increase the shelf life of the product, so that it really doesn't easily get stale. And always remember, salt retains water, the sodium. When I talk about salt, I'm talking about the sodium content in the salt, which comes from your refined white salt. So that tends to retain water, leading to water retention and bloating. So just again, one another tip, what you can do, try and minimize your packaged foods, processed foods, because we don't even realize. And of course, there is no portion control when it comes, on binging these foods. We don't realize how much are we taking. Because like sugar, even salt is an addiction. So you can't really stop at one, though moderation is very important. What you can do is, as the day tapers, your metabolism really starts getting sluggish. Always try and taper your salt intake, which is also added in the food, especially for the dinner, and you will definitely see the difference. So I mean, you may really want to have a again look at, how much salt are you really consuming. Many people have that, they really love that salty taste and they try to add more salt. And avoid using salt on things like salads, or maybe while kneading atta. I mean, in these things it is okay if you really don't use salt, because on salads, for example, you can always go for your lime, black pepper dressing. Rotis will really not make a difference if it doesn't have salt. So likewise, try and reduce your salt intake. Of course, those who are experiencing low BP, I would still recommend you can still have your normal salt, but your again, just overall look at the consumption of your packaged and processed food. My last is fiber. Fiber again is very, very important when it comes to gut health. It's extremely important. But like I said, there is so much information on the Google nowadays that eating raw things will really help you, will help in reduction your in reducing your inflammation. It will help in improving your metabolism. It is fact, raw food really does help, but people, even without knowing what is happening to the gut and the body, they start taking it 2-3 glasses of vegetable juice, raw salads throughout the day. They'll just end up having salads for dinners and they are done. So we need to understand, if there is overdoing of fiber, especially in the raw form, that also may irritate your gut lining, leading to bloating. So these are the signs. When you start feeling bloating, you have to look back upon this basic small things which may be going wrong in your routine, and you may want to rectify it. Also, so try and just overlook the fiber. It's equally important to strike a balance between the raw and the cooked fiber. So I think 1 or 2 portions of raw fiber, or a glass of juice or salads are fine. But in case, even if you have noticed that even that one glass is not suiting and it's really leading to bloating, then you may want to cut down, and you just try and increase the intake of your cooked subsies or salads, or stir fried or sauteed salads. Also, when I talk about fiber, water is something, it goes hand in hand. Again, we have to understand, if there is too much of fiber in the entire day, and if the water is really not going well, if you're not drinking sufficient water, it may lead to bloating and constipation. Because to help that fiber facilitate to really help in that smooth regular bowels, it's very important that you really drink sufficient water, like around 2 to 2.5 liters of water consciously. And since again, we are talking about water, it's very important that how do you drink your water. Some people, they just chuck down water too fast. And if they are bloated, they'll try and figure out, okay, what am I doing wrong in the food? Let me try stop eating this and eating that. But eventually the culprit is, how are you drinking water? So always try and drink your water in the sitting position. That is where that is when your body is into that rest and recovery mode. And also sip your water slowly, like take always sip by sip. Even if you are drinking a glass or two, just sit down and just take it easy, sip slowly. Don't chuck down. If you are drinking water too fast, again it will lead to bloating. So this is about the causes. So I'll just quickly brush up through what we have spoken so far before we shift to home remedies. So firstly, we spoke about aerophagia. So always try and avoid using straw. Stop consuming your chewing gums or tobaccos. And thirdly, always stick your mouth to the bottle or your glass. Secondly is your mindfulness. So we have decided to start with at least one activity of taking 5 deep breaths before and after meals, and even during the meals. And always enjoy your food. It has to be you and your food, nobody else, no distractions. Respect your food, enjoy your food slowly. Third is sedentary actives. You will be starting now sitting in Vajrasan immediately post meals, and start taking strolls. Once you're done with your Vajrasan, start taking strolls at least 5 to 7 minutes in your house. Always try and get out of your place every 45-30 minutes to fill up a bottle or just take a stroll. And always, whenever you are on calls, try and be walk while you are talking. And fourth one is consumption of salt. Your specifically, I am focusing more on packaged processed foods, and also try and taper your salt in the foods which is where the salt is really not needed. Like I said about in rotis we really don't need. If you're having chaat, buttermilk doesn't really need, because if you add good amount of hing, pudina, coriander, for example, in chaat, it's going to still really taste better. So these are the ways you can try and taper down your salt. And lastly, I spoke about fiber and water. They both go hand in hand. And try and just see, go back if you are really consuming right amount of fiber. Then there has to be balance of the cooked and the raw fiber. And water intake. I mean, it's very important that you drink adequate water, but it's also very important that how are you drinking your water. So always try and have your water in the cross leg sitting position, and always take your water sip by sip. So these were the causes, we need to reverse them. And now speaking about the home remedies, so I have listed few gut friendly recipes which consist of your pickles, fermented vegetables, some herbal teas. Tina will be posting it in the comment section, and we are soon, in case if you're not able to note it down, we'll be releasing a blog post soon with all the recipes. So maybe I'll be posting it in my bio, so you can always take it from there. So my home remedies includes 2 herbal teas, like I said. So one is anti-bloat tea, and second is ginger cardamom tea. So the ingredients which are going in this teas are all carminative agents. So now when I talk about carminative, it means it helps in reducing your bloating, your gas. So it really soothes your gut. So again, try and replace at least 1 cup of your coffee or tea with this herbal tea. And also, since we are talking about tea, like I spoke about tea and coffee, please don't start your day with tea and coffee. It's extremely acidic. It dehydrates your body. So I'm not saying that you should be completely stopping, because many people are habituated and they enjoy that 1 cup. So 1 or 2 cups in a day is fine, but always try and drink a glass of water post drinking coffee or post drinking tea. But I would still advise, at least you can replace, that's again a small habit change. Just replace 1 cup of tea or your coffee with this herbal teas. Third one is probiotics. Now probiotics, I mean, no gut topic is complete without talking on probiotics. Again, probiotics are a very good healthy bacteria which really helps in better digestion. It really maintains the alkalinity of the gut. So it's very important that you include probiotics in your meals. So good examples would be yogurt, buttermilk. But those who are really not consuming dairy, they can also start looking at alternatives like Indian pickles. Uh, the recipe Tina has already shared. For example, carrot pickle. So always we say that pickle is really bad, but we always need to understand the quality of this salt and the quality of the oil which you are using. If it is homemade, and if you are using right quality Himalayan pink salt, and if you are using unfiltered refined kachigani oil like sesame oil or mustard oil for that pickle, so 1 or 2 teaspoons in a day is not really going to harm you. Of course, try and avoid bringing the store bought one, because again they are very loaded on salt, so they might, and you might end up feeling bloated with those. But try and always make pickles traditionally how we used to make at home. So that is about pickle. And also, since I'm touching on probiotic, it's always important also to include your prebiotics. Now prebiotics are the food for your probiotics. So you can imagine, if you are giving food to your probiotics, they are going to just multiply. So it's extremely important that you start including prebiotics. So again, good examples of prebiotic is boiled and cooled sweet potato, Also your rice kanji, which is boiled and cooled rice. In fact, your bananas also are a very good source of prebiotics. So that is very important that you try and have pre and probiotics. Lastly is digestive enzymes. So again, many people really don't pay attention on digestive enzymes. So these are the substances which help break down the food in smaller particles. So you get digestive enzyme capsules again in the market over the counter, but I will not recommend you. You still get digestive enzymes from the food, and digestive enzymes are also produced in your mouth, in your stomach, in your pancreas. So always try and go with the natural sources like papaya, pineapple. So they are known to help. They are known to break down proteins because they contain pepin and bromelain respectively. Then you have avocados, which are which help in breaking down lipase enzyme, which is fat. So it helps in breaking down fats. Same way, raw garlic. Sorry, raw honey. So raw honey also helps in breaking down your proteins in the body, proteins and carbohydrates. So these are the few examples. It's going to be very beneficial for you all to start and looking back, like what is causing the bloating. And always remember, digestion starts is itself in the mouth. So it is not that the food gets digested in your stomach or intestine, but right in the mouth. So it's very important universal fact that you have to be very mindful while you're eating. You have to keep chewing your food very slowly. So I think that's it, and I'm very happy to answer your questions now.
Okay, I have several questions that have already come in, Ami. So the first one
Okay.
is, what is the most important vitamin responsible for bloating?
So here, of course, see, I mean, there are no specific vitamins which will be really responsible for bloating. But in case if you are bloating, then you may have to check the B12 first of all, because I'm just giving you one example of B12 because there is an intrinsic factor which gets released and produced in the stomach, which helps in the absorption of your B12. So if you're just popping on your pills and if there is no sufficient intrinsic factor being produced because of the gut health, your B12 your body will never be able to absorb your B12. And same goes for your iron. If you're really overloading your diet with good amount of fiber, too much of fiber, iron will never get absorbed because iron is a very sensitive nutrient. So I think these are the examples, but there is no one vitamin I can talk about who is responsible for bloating.
Right. I know you've already mentioned this, but does taking excess sugar and salt cause bloating?
Absolutely, because we need to understand sugar and salt, both like refined sugar and salt, they are extremely acidic in nature. They dehydrate your body. So always look for alternatives. And I'm sure, I mean, yeah, you have to, I mean, it leads to bloating. Yes.
Okay. There's another question where this person is asking, why is it that during periods or menstrual cycle that there is bloating that is caused? Is there any other remedy for this? And also face a lot of pain due to bloating?
Okay. So again, see, when I talk about bloating, like I said, there are plenty of causes behind that. But when it comes to your periods, it's altogether a different topic. Because of course, there are too many hormonal changes being taken place in the body. Your estrogen level goes down, your cortisol levels are high. You tend to crave for sugars, and that is why that bloating is one of the symptoms. But currently, if you really suffering from pain, just try and like take 1 teaspoon of raw cacao powder. It's easily available on Amazon. Mix it in 1 glass of water and have that like twice a day. You will feel much better. But that's due to purely hormonal imbalance.
Okay. There's a question about tartar salt. Should that be avoided completely? Or would there be an iodine deficiency?
So again, like I said, if you have any medical condition, like if you have low BP or if you have thyroid, things are going to be very different because then the calculation of salt happens. But if you're a healthy normal being and no issues, you can still avoid your salt depending upon your age, because age also really matters. We really don't want sodium to drop in elderly people. But if you are quite young, then you can always go back to your normal Himalayan pink salt. And iodine, you can still get it from your nuts, your seeds, your whole grains. So it should not be an issue.
All right, thanks for that, Ami. Apart from the remedies you've suggested, someone's asking whether apple cider vinegar or lemon or chia seeds in water is good for bloating.
Absolutely. Apple cider vinegar again is a very good example when it comes to a combination of your pro and prebiotics. So it's very good. And in case if you're planning to have apple cider vinegar, always try and see it has to be with the mother culture, because that mother culture will help in the enzymatic reaction, and that will really serve the purpose. And yeah, chia seeds again is a very, very good alternative. Like you can just sprinkle on your fruits or just have them in the water. It's very good.
What about psyllium husk?
Psyllium husk, again, like I said, I mean, you really get Indian diet is beautifully comprised of carbs, proteins, fats, and fiber. So generally, there is no need of really going and externally having those, isabgol or psyllium husk. Uh, if your diet is really sufficient in your subsies and salads, soup, you will not really require psyllium husk, because, like I said, if you are really overdoing on your fiber, taking psyllium husk, then you may end up, bloating, feeling bloated.
Okay. Could you reiterate how to take prebiotics and probiotics in our diet?
So again, like I said about pre and probiotics. So like I mentioned, few examples of probiotics is yogurt, buttermilk, your pickles, for that matter, your fermented vegetables. So you can always, incorporate these in your meals, like for lunch and breakfast. That's still going to be sufficient for you. And prebiotic, like I said, you can always have like banana. You can start your day with banana. It's again a good source of prebiotic. Even for that matter, raw honey. So raw honey, the only reason, raw honey is supposed to be used as raw and not heating, because again, it's loaded up with prebiotics and digestive enzymes. So throughout the day, even if you're having this anywhere in the plan, it's still going to help you. So there is no specific time for these.
All right. Ami, someone's asking, do you have a glass of water prior to having tea or coffee or after?
After. It's always after, because once you have your tea and coffee, your body tends to get dehydrated. Coffee always acts as a diuretic, so it's always better to replenish those hydration levels. It's always better that you have post, drinking tea and coffee. And there are so many people out there who might be having more than 2 or 3 cups even without realizing that it's doing not so good for your body. So yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Ami. There's this
Most
person who
welcome.
says that I feel my stomach is acidic. So even after taking rice kanji, it leads to some acidity. So what should be the solution, or what is the solution?
Okay, so okay, again, it's not only the rice kanji which is really going to help in reversing your bloating or acidic. You may want to really see your overall lifestyle. What kind of food, how are you eating, is also very important. So we have to really overlook. And also, like I said, I mean, these are the most common causes which I've picked up, but you also have to check your sleep. Again, sleep is very, very important for recovering. So you may really need to look back what is really causing bloating or acidity.
All right. Thanks, Ami. So we have, I'll take up one last question and then we can wrap up.
Yeah.
Can we use Sindha Namak daily?
Yes, absolutely. Sindha Namak is absolutely fine. So it is low in sodium and it's high in potassium and other minerals. But again, like if you have any kind of kidney diseases where potassium keeps fluctuating, it's always better to check with your nutritionist or a doctor.
All right. Thanks for that, Ami. As I said, we'll take one last question. I have magnesium powder. Does this make the stomach feel gassy?
Ideally not. So magnesium, again, there are many forms of magnesium available, and magnesium is ideally to relieve constipation. But if you feel, your body very well. So like I said, there are hundreds of causes, but that one powder is really making you feel bloated immediately after taking, then you may need to stop it.
Okay.
Otherwise, it doesn't.
Thanks for answering those questions, Ami. So we're almost at the half hour mark. So if you could quickly recap, and then we could wrap up the session.
Sure. So we spoke about 5 most common causes which you may so first is aerophagia. So try and always stick your mouth to the bottle. Just reduce your consumption of tobacco or chewing gum. Try and avoid using straw. Second, we spoke about mindfulness. So chew your food thoroughly, and you're going to start with at least taking 5 to 6 deep breaths before and after meals and during meals, and always build good relationship with the food. Third one was sedentary active. So immediately start from today itself, post dinner, sit in Vajrasan. And those who can't, followed by, a 5 to 7 minute stroll in the house. Fourth is consumption of salt and sugar also, because it leads to bloating, it leads to retention of water, especially the packaged foods. Fifth one is fiber and water intake. So try and just strike a good balance between the cooked fiber and the raw fiber, along with good amount of water in the right way. And coming to home remedies, we spoke about 2 herbal teas, which is anti-bloat tea, ginger cardamom tea, and we spoke about how important probiotics and digestive enzymes are, like, important, has to be there in your routine.
Thanks so much, Ami. For all those
Most welcome.
for all those who have questions for Ami regarding bloating, you all can post your questions on Ami's Instagram page. Her handle is Amisha1203, and I'm sure she would be able to answer your questions. I'll post her Instagram handle on the chat section, so you can take it from there.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Tina.